I'm not done. I'm not done, am I? What else is there? Oh, the Funimation investigation. Or should I say the Sony HR investigation? I was talking a little bit about this earlier. Now, let's do a segment called How Not to Damage Control Your Ludicrous Story, defaming a man by implying he engaged in sexual harassment when he didn't. But first, Phil Rogie says, you are the Gutenberg press of the legal realm. Keep up the good work, Rackets. I will. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Sony. It was at Johnny Killer with the blank $20. At Johnny Killer. Thank you. Thank you so much. Raven Moorhead says, Null's YouTube account got terminated today, like 6 minutes into the stream. Yes, it did. I'm hopefully gonna get, information on it, but you can find Kiwi Farms and Null, their live streaming channel, on DLive for now. I believe he has appealed the YouTube takedown. He's over on DLive, so go find him there. And guys, I think I actually might have a DLive account. There is a Rekieta Law on DLive, and I think that might be me. I gotta check. I don't know. If it's broadcasting anytime recently, it's not me. I don't think I ever broadcast to DLive, but I do think that I have one, and I might start multi-streaming to it. So there we go. That investigation. Oh man, Nicholas Smith says, as a recently licensed male teacher, a false accusation like that would absolutely destroy my family and my professional reputation. Even if I sued for defamation, that follows you. I've seen it. It does. It does. And it does to conventions too. It's similar in the voice acting community because, frankly, they're around minors. I mean, that's part of anime. And this convention community is that minors attend. Sakaki Onsai says, but Master, I didn't know. Punish me, hurt me. I deserve it, but I failed you. I'm a useless, pitiful fool who's betrayed you. You must hurt me. Renfield, Dracula, Dead and Loving It. There you go. Great movie. Dracula, Count Dracula. Scheduled? Okay. So we are back on we're back on that investigation. Sony investigated. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I kept saying Funimation because I didn't want to tilt my camera down. I could do that. Yes. I could do that a bit. All right. So I kept saying Funimation because it wasn't really publicly known that Sony did any investigation into Vic Mignogna. In fact, Funimation heavily implied that they did. The IO9 article suggested that it was Funimation, but it was Sony. Now, is Funimation a subsidiary of Sony? Yes. Does that mean that Sony HR does Funimation's investigations? No. Does Sony have hiring and firing decisions over Funimation? At some level, yeah, but they probably delegate hiring and firing decisions to Funimation's management. So, I didn't mention that it was Sony. I've known from the day I started covering, well, a couple days after I started covering this, I've known about Sony's investigation into Vic. Now let me talk about that. How do you damage control something like this, right? Monica's answer has been baffling. One, Monica's answer is, well, I mean, it's an instance of sexual harassment. No, it isn't. No, it isn't, you hussy. Of course it's not an instance of sexual harassment. It's just a lame, unfunny joke. If he had said, now I can say I've eaten out Monica Rial, or gone down on Monica Rial, or licked the lady parts of Monica Rial, or something like that, different story. Different story. But that's not the story, is it? Because that wasn't the actual joke, and you know it, and that's why it took you something like 8 years. Something like 8 years to pass that story on to Sony HR, right? Right? Because you knew it wasn't sexual harassment then. It's still not today. It still wouldn't be today if I eat a jelly bean with someone's dumb name on it that they decided to write on it and give to me, and I just said, oh, now I've eaten you. Haha, sucker. That's not actually sexual harassment. Even if I say, now I can say I've eaten Lady Rackets. That's not sexual harassment either. Even though I added a debonair voice or whatever you want to call it. It's not sexual harassment just because you're insane several years later. Okay? It's not. I don't know how else to tell you. And yes, I know there are people out on Twitter saying sexual harassment's in the eye of the beholder. Not really. Not really. Now, in the sense of you saying, look, I get you were making a joke, but that joke actually made me uncomfortable. I took that as kind of like a sexual sort of thing. I don't know if you meant it that way, but could you please not say that? Yes, 100%. Do that. Go ahead. Inform someone that they may have accidentally harassed you, or maybe even on purpose. But it's not sexual harassment. If they made an innocent comment, you took it the wrong way, that doesn't mean they get fired. That doesn't mean you report them to HR, and you know this because anybody knows this. Craven Moorhead says, real human being. Okay. Asriel Cypher. Since when sexual harassment is in the eye of the beholder? This isn't a super chat, but this is important. It is so long as you inform the other party. This is how harassment works oftentimes in law, is when you feel harassed in a situation that is not overtly harassing, right? Like they're not saying, hey girl, pull up that skirt, let me see the goods, or whatever they say. I don't know, I'm not good at pickup lines. If they're not overtly harassing you and you find something uncomfortable, that's what I mean by it's in the eye of the beholder, and you're encouraged to either let that person know or ask someone to help let that person know and just say, hey, you know what? I took offense to this. Now, typically that happens right after the incident, not years later, not to HR. These are things that can be handled in any workplace except one filled with lunatics. Someone earlier aptly compared this case to watching Mean Girls, but Mean Girls set in a mental asylum. That's what this is like. That's actually very, very accurate. Okay. Now, I've told you there are two other stories on the investigation for Funimation. Sony. Two other stories, right? One of them involves a consensual kiss. I don't believe the victim of the consensual kiss has spoken about this, and so I am not going to mention the victim's name of the consensual kiss. I'm not going to do that because I don't actually have any information to suggest that that person said anything about it, other than maybe they talked to someone. Maybe they talked to somebody and then that person brought it when they decided to go all in on Vic. I don't know. I don't know how that came out. But until I have more information, I'll keep that person's name intact. The third story involves no sexual contact, not even a kiss, not even a touch. Didn't take place at Funimation. Didn't take place on Funimation time. Didn't take place at Sony, and didn't take place at Sony time. I know the story. I'm not going to release it. But here's the thing. All of these people, right? Monica, Ron. Hey, Monica, you've said it's a confidential investigation. How does Ron seem to know so much about it? You lying idiot. You liar. Why are you lying? I've shown you over and over and over again that I know the truth. I still know the truth about Zenkai-Con, you liar. I know the truth about Kamei-Con, you liar. Over and over and over again. You've seen, I know you don't say it publicly. Don't even need you to acknowledge it publicly. But stop trying to pretend that I'm not informed on this issue. Stop trying to pretend that. It just makes you look even worse. Why are you still lying? Okay. If it's so confidential, how does Soye know so much about it? He's your fiance, not your husband, and he's not a Funimation employee. If it was confidential, me releasing the details would be actually less bad than you releasing them to him. And if it's confidential, and if that is some sort of disciplinary offense, then I suppose you need to be fired under that standard, because you clearly have informed Ron Toye about the investigation. Or maybe it isn't confidential at all. But here's the thing, sweetie. I'm some semblance of a journalist. So I get this cool legal protection in constitutional law, where so long as I did not induce a criminal act to acquire information, I can release it even if it's private. How unfair is that? How unfair is that? That means that it doesn't matter if you had some sort of discussion with your therapist and I acquired it through no illegal act of my own and released it, nothing happens to me, because I have this cool journalistic shield where I can release whatever I obtain legally. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, because I'm a lawyer, I actually have obtained all of this information legally, and no matter, even if it was private, confidential, anything short of it being a federal crime to release government data, anything short of that, I can 100% release it. And just be glad that I don't release it all. Because I'm completely insulated from whatever stupid threat you may conjure up. Because this is America, Jack. This is America. Eat it. Eat a jelly bean, bitch. That said, what's the second aspect? Oh, I should close this. The second defensive strategy of Monica Rial is to first say, well, this is an instance of inappropriate behavior. It's very inappropriate. How inappropriate? Okay, whatever. Any sane person goes, he ate a jelly bean. So what? Why would he eat a jelly bean with Sharpie on it? That's weird. But he ate a jelly bean. That's, I mean, who cares? I eat jelly beans all the time. I don't like them, but other people. All right. What's your next avenue of defense? Well, that's just one thing. You guys don't know. You guys don't know what was in that investigation. Listen here, Pudding Cup. It's coming out in the documents that are being filed probably tomorrow. None of this is privileged. It's all about to be public knowledge beyond my sources. Beyond my sources, it's about to be public knowledge. But here's the deal. You know, or if you don't, this is going to be embarrassing. I know that there are precisely 3 instances that were investigated by Sony, and only 3. And only 3. Because my source and maybe you don't know this, and if you don't, I'm apologizing in advance that no one thought to tell you, but my source tells me that Vic Mignogna was asked about 3 instances. Just 3. So if you're going to say there was an investigation and there were more than these 3 stories, you've got 3 options. 1, no, there weren't. If Sony only deigned to talk to Vic about 3 stories, maybe there were only 3 stories. Or there were 3 stories that Sony found worth it to talk to Vic Mignogna, and the others they found to not even be credible enough to investigate. That's your second option. Or your third option, and this one makes the least logical sense, would be that Sony had some other instance that they found so egregious to make it a terminable offense, and they didn't need to even talk to Vic about it, but then they still talked to Vic about these 3 other instances. That doesn't add up. That's not how HR works. If you have enough to terminate someone, why in God's name would you ask them questions about all of the other instances but not the one you're going to terminate them on? And if they did, let me head this off. That is the least likely possibility. I think you know it was only those 3. I think you know it and are just playing stupid. But if you don't, and if you suggest that there are these more things that Sony could have done, if that's the case, then it wasn't an investigation at all, and you know it. Because if you don't give someone notice and opportunity, then you didn't conduct an investigation in any semblance of the word. In any semblance. This is not like they investigated someone's criminal record and found a rape charge. That's not what happened, and you know it. And you know it. You've got something stupid like Samantha Inu Hart saying, well, he asked me about my salary or something. Yeah, is that the bullying and sexual harassment that you got, you weird, ugly person? You know it because it's the truth and it's coming out in the lawsuits, and you won't be able to deny this anymore. You won't be able to lie to people anymore. You've put so much stock into your own lies, and it's gonna come back and bite you. By the way, you've also reduced your credibility as your own witness, because who's gonna believe you? Who's gonna believe you when you say, I'm telling the truth in court? Because you're going to get on the stand, you're going to say, I'm telling the truth. I'm saying this under oath. I'm telling the truth. And then Ty or an Amazon or whoever, some intern, first-year law student could do this, will come up and say, what about here, 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 and here, that you publicly lied about this? What about here, 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 and here, where your deposition disagrees with your public statements and disagrees with what you're saying on the stand right now? Oh, did you not think about the fact that you're going to have to either keep up the lie and perjure yourself, or you're going to have to admit to lying? And guess what? I'm gonna get the deposition transcripts and read them. So we're gonna see all the lies. Because either you're gonna tell the truth, or you're gonna perjure yourself, and then you might go to jail. And if you perjure yourself, guess what happens? You lose. You just flat out lose. So good luck. Good luck.